Steve, as always, it's half of your time. We'll go to the big incident. What are you thinking when Wolves put in a fairly simple-looking cross?
Well, look, the one thing in football management or coach or whatever, you can never legislate for genuine error. And unfortunately, Alan will have to live with it. It's now how he copes with it and how he deals with it, because it's one of them awful ones, which I think everybody in the ground realises, one of them awful mistakes that a goalkeeper unfortunately makes, and he's made it. He'll have to recover, but for me, I've never said anything to him because he knows. He knows he's disappointed himself.
He'll be tortured by that, won't he?
Yeah. And as I said, the big thing is to recover from it, because we all know what a good goalkeeper he is. And but goalkeepers, they're highlighted above anybody else. You know, it's a big position, and it's one of them awful mistakes which obviously you'll have to live with.
I'll come back to it in a bit. Let's look at the game. It was a sloppy start, but
no, we had an awful start. We had an awful start from the first 30 seconds. We give a bad back pass, and then when we've miskicked one. I think it was Big Curtis missed one, and any mistake he made, by the way, all day. But yeah, you're right. We got off to an awful start, but the longer it went, in the second half, I thought we were excellent. I thought, apart from the mistake from the goalkeeper, they really didn't cause as much problems. And the longer the game went on, we looked more of a threat. Looked a threat getting forward, and I thought if anybody's going to win the game, it was going to be us. But you know, the one Jelavic made for Chuba to hit the post against was 2 inches away, and we would have won the match.
There's an interesting dynamic between the pair of them, because I saw Jelle having a right go at Chuba Akpom at one point in the second half, and in fairness to the youngster, he was having a right go back.
Yeah.
And I thought those two are not going to pass to each other the rest of the game, but they actually got their act together. What was going on there?
Well, there's nothing wrong with seeing that, because they care. You know, if Jelle thinks he should have passed him the ball, and he tells him, and that's where the young boys grow up quickly. They don't get that at a 21-year-old, a 30-year-old Croatian striker yelling at him because he didn't give him the ball. And this is what makes them grow up. I thought Chuba's movement and everything about him, he looks a very, very good player. And for 19 years old, he's got a long way to go, but looks a very good prospect.
What about Jelle? Because many might have not stuck with him today, because his first two performances, if I may say, he didn't look that interested, Steve. It might be unfair, but he didn't look that interested.
Well, the one thing about Jelle, if Jelle's only playing at it, then he's got to be like he was today. That was more like a Jelavic performance, all action, and it's like Jelavic is like a lot of the players who, you know, don't necessarily want to be playing here, but we are here. And I think he's realised the fact today that it's never going to be easy, and he's going to sharpen himself up to make a fist of it, because, you know, as I've said many, many times, I'll never stand in anybody's road if the Premier League come calling, but he's here at the moment, and today was more like Jelavic.
Do you expect to hang on to him, or is he maybe going to have to prove himself all over again to January to get a move?
I don't think he has to prove to anybody. You know, at the end of the day, people know that he had a couple of knee operations last year, and once you have a couple of knee operations, it takes a long time to get over them. Jelle come back far too quickly, trying to do the club a turn. But so I don't think he's got nothing to prove to anybody. You can see that he's back near physically his best, and whether I can hang on to them, I've said that from day one. You know, I think it's only just starting. There's still 2-3 weeks to go, and we'll have to see what develops.
Do you want a fee for him? Because having had 2 knee operations, people might be reluctant to pay a fee.
Well, that's their prerogative and our prerogative too. I mean, we paid a lot of money for him, and unfortunately he had 2 big knee operations. We know that. People know that in the game. They're not, you know, but we're quietly confident that he passes the medal. He's just played today, so he's fine physically. So that shouldn't be a problem.
Okay. Have you had any interest in him? I heard West Ham. Yeah,
but I've had interest from 12 clubs.
In Jelavic?
In a few of them, but interest, just like I've got. You know, I pick the phone up and I've got an interest in about 15 players out there, not necessarily a bid, and I only take them serious if there's a bid. And I know you guys love the speculation of it and the drama of it, but I only take it for real when a bid comes in and people are talking, not when the bosses are talking to each other, then it's real. But at the moment it's not.
Have West Ham bid for Huddleston?
No.
Is there genuine interest there?
No, there's again interest, but now we've had no bids. As this moment, we've had no bids for anybody, and I'm sure West Ham, like anybody, knows that Huddleston's got a buyout in his contract. If they get to that figure, then I'm powerless. Keep telling everybody that. So they know what the buyout is. It's quite simple. You know, the agents will be touting them around everywhere, and which I know for a fact they are. But there's nothing I can do. It's quite simple, straightforward. Got to get on with it.
All right. Talking of buyouts, is there a buyout on Andrew Gray at Brentford? What's the latest there? You've obviously not hit it, otherwise presumably the deal would have been done.
Well, there's no buyout.
Right.
Not like Odebejo.
Right.
But exactly, we've not got to the level where Brentford want it to be at the moment. So we'll see what progresses this week, if anything. But sooner or later, we're going to have to probably draw the line under it, and if we're not going to do it, move on, and we'll see what develops.
It's not dead yet?
No.
What about Molineux at Chicago Fire? They got knocked out the cup the other night.
Well, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing for them, that's somebody we're interested in. I'm sure the discussions over the weekend or the coming week now will be to see if we can get Sean out of there. If we can't again, then we'll have to look at somebody else.
Going back full circle to where we started, talking about Alan McGregor, it's not his first error, it's maybe the worst. He had a few last year. Are you going to move for a goalkeeper?
Well, certainly had no intention to. So I'll have a look at the situation. I've put a lot of faith in Alan McGregor because I believe that he is a very, very good goalkeeper, and it's important that he recovers. So, but more competition for everybody is always healthy, and we'll see what happens on that.
Back to the game, overall, happy with the point?
You come here, we've got to be happy. I was happy in the second half in particular because we looked a threat. Had a few goal chances. The game was open, wasn't it, the second half? And if we're going to try and win the league, we've got to try and win everywhere. So we will be a bit open. Whereas the last couple of years, we've all been about damage limitation, if you like. Here, we've got to win 25 games to give ourselves a chance. And let's hope we can do it.